Hello and welcome everybody. This is Miranda's Crafter and I'm coming at you again tonight with some information from the recently released frequently asked questions that was in the Community Crunch number 381. I just couldn't resist, folks. This was so much good information in this Community Crunch that I had to break it down into individual subjects. I did one the other day, yesterday, about cryopods, and now I'm going to talk about the crossplay situation because outside of the cryopods, this is probably one of the most talked about situations from the frequently asked questions. People are like, well, how's it going to work? When's it going to take effect? There's different phases. What's that all about? So stick with me, and tonight we're going to look at this and we're going to go over it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to look about the initial question here where it says, tell us more about crossplay. How will that work? And then Wildcard says, okay. So we will have a 3-phase system for rolling out crossplay. This is because it allows us to iterate more rapidly after launching a fresh title and makes managing our operations much less complicated, allowing us to deliver you a better experience. Also, we're waiting for updates on the engine plugin side to enhance the experience further. So one of the things that I know that, is playing into this is like Steam platform. Whenever they push an update on that, that can be, immediated quickly. That can be, go through fast. But like on the console side of things, a lot of times some of that stuff has to go into approval and it takes a minute. So that does cause a problem with different platforms being on the same version. And until they get this stuff ironed out at first, that's going to cause them to have to come into this into steps. So I get that. I understand that with an untested product, which is Ark Survival Ascended, and I don't mean that they haven't been doing any testing on it. I just mean an untested product in the, sense that you don't have tens of thousands of people trying to use it and trying to use crossplay, that it makes sense to do this in steps so that you can make sure this works before you move to this, and then you make sure that this integrates before you move to the next, and that's just smart. So I'm glad to see them actually doing this. Would I like to see crossplay function from day one? Yeah, of course I would, because there's lots of people that I would like to play with that are going to be on consoles. I'm personally going to be a Steam PC player, and I would like the ability to interact with those people. So yeah, of course I would, but I want them to do this right. So I think the gated kind of, slower approach is a better way to access this. So they say phase 1 launch time frame October. Well, we already know that the game's going to release probably the last week in October. They won't give us a definite date, but they keep, pushing us to the end of October. So we already know that. But this is phase 1 though. It's at launch. Crossplay will be enabled for Xbox Series X and S, Microsoft Windows PC Store version, and PlayStation 5. That's a pretty good safe bet that those three will work together, because 2 of them are console and the other is owned by one of the same companies that owns one of the consoles. So obviously those are going to probably play nice together. Crossplay will not work for Steam PC at launch though, because that's another marketplace. That's Valve. That is a completely separate entity. And while Steam is very stable, Steam may not integrate with console at launch perfectly. So I think they're smart by, saying, hey, we're going to test this. We're going to make sure it's a go before, we move on further. And we don't want to just release a steaming, honking turd right off the bat and mess everybody's gameplay experience up. So I think that's smart, and that's a good call. They say why? Frankly, when we launch the game, we'll have to patch a lot because you are going to find things we missed or break the game in ways we never identified. And we'd prefer to be able to patch the Steam platform very quickly to resolve these issues. And that's what we were talking about earlier. They can push updates on the Valve, on the Steam platform a lot quicker than they can the console, Microsoft, PlayStation side of the thing. Once the game has passed the launch hurdles and has entered a more stable state, certifying builds on other platforms will be much quicker, and so at that point, we'll look into enabling full crossplay. We'll split official servers between the respective crossplay platforms, which means that Steam will have their own servers, and then the other group, Xbox, Windows, and PC and PlayStation, will have their own. And we also intend to host some servers that are crossplay only between Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 to keep out the PC master race folks. Namely, so you'll stop asking us about it on Twitter. That's a good idea. And it's really, I'm glad to see them do this for the community. Because frankly, anybody who's gamed in the last 15 years understands that a person that is adept with a keyboard and mouse is going to be 10 times faster than somebody on a controller. And in a PvP setting, that can really be a serious disadvantage. If they choose to want to play with that disadvantage, then by all means let them come to the servers where the Steam and Valve PC folks are, and they can have that experience. But if they would rather stay on an even playing field between console, then that's great. I'm glad to see them do that for them, and I applaud Wildcard for doing that. A lot of companies wouldn't carve out individual servers for things such as this, and they did, and that was a good call. Phase 2 is full crossplay, time frame December, and in quotations they say this is a wildcard ETA with a little winky face there. So what they're basically telling you is this is a wildcard ETA. And if you know anything about Wildcard, you know that they are the world's worst at meeting deadlines. So they're basically saying straight up to not get your hopes up that December is actually what they're going to hit. They're aiming for it, but they're not probably going to hit it. And they're admitting that themselves right here. So I look for this maybe March, April of the next year. Who knows? It just depends on how well this all goes. So just keep that in mind, that don't, mark a day on your calendar that December is when phase 2 will hit. It could be anywhere. And now they're saying crossplay and phase 2 is now enabled for all platforms, meaning Steam can play with Xbox and vice versa. At this point, we'll be at a stage where the game can fully enable crossplay for all platforms. So we'll be merging the PC Steam network with the specific Xbox, PlayStation, and the Windows Marketplace network. What this means is that we'll be aiming to patch all platforms simultaneously and keeping them running on the same version, and it is at this point Steam users will be able to play on the same servers as their console friends directly. This applies to both official and unofficial servers, but don't worry, we'll still have a separate official network online that is restricted to just Xbox and PlayStation users without PC. So at phase 2 is when all the platforms come together to where we can all play together. And that should cause the interaction amount to go through the roof. I mean, all the servers should be full. You can have an experience with anybody you know, no matter what system they're playing on. And this is where the Ark community really opens up for us, because this has never been a thing before. So this is going to be truly awesome. Now, remember though, they're shooting for December, but this is a wildcard ETA, so keep that in mind. Then we go through to phase 3. Now, this has caused a lot of people a lot of confusion, but I've finally, and even me in my first video when I was talking about the frequently asked question, I didn't really know what they meant by this. But now that I've been doing a lot of researching and stuff, I know what they're talking about now. Phase 3 is when cross progression timeframe 2024 comes about. Cross progression isn't going to be enabled with full crossplay because we'll need to integrate some forthcoming updates to the Epic Online Services system. We don't have the exact time frame for that because it's out of our control. They're basically waiting on Epic to be able to, do the things they need to do, flip the switches, turn the knobs, and all that. And the integration may take some time. Plus, we're still working out the kinks for how we intend to enable cross progression for existing accounts. So we will share more on that later. And if you're lost and you don't know what they're talking about, this is the simple breakdown of it. What they mean by cross progression is, let's say I'm on my PC on my Steam version of Ark, and I also own Ark on the Xbox console. I can log in on my Xbox console on the same account, and I will be able to have all the progression from my Steam account now on my Xbox. So if I want to sit here at my desk and play all day, and then I decide, hey, I want to go sit on my couch and go play in the living room where my console is, I can go to my living room on my console, log into my account, and I will have progression across all my different platforms that I have available to me. So that's what they're meaning by cross progression. That's a really interesting thing. I'm kind of curious to try that out because I have an Xbox S or whatever, and I'm interested to see how that works. I may try it just to try it, just to see how it works and stuff. I do not plan for this to be a main thing that I utilize, though, because for me, playing on my PC is the only way to be, so I will be maining Ark Ascended on my PC. So yeah, that's not going to be a big deal for me, but for some people that could be huge because, like I said, they may want to play on their computer and then go sit on the couch and chill, or the console experience is definitely a more relaxed vibe type of thing. So yeah, that's interesting. But anyway, this was the discussion on how the crossplay is going to work. I hope that you found this video informative and that it's helped explain a lot of these things to you. I've really tried hard to research this subject so that I knew what I was talking about, so that I wouldn't spread a bunch of misinformation, because right now a lot of this stuff is just all over the place. But this fact was very helpful because it nailed down a lot of stuff and really answered some questions for us. So bravo, Wildcard, you really did a good job with that. I will give credit where credit is due on that. And by all means, I want to tell you thank you for your time being part of my day and hanging out and listening to me gush about Wildcard and Ark Ascended. And if you found this content informative or entertaining, please honor my commitment to bringing you this content and go ahead and like it, and please subscribe, ring the notification bell so that you can not miss any of the content that I'm going to be bringing forward, because if you found some value in this, you may find some value in some of the other content that I'm going to be doing as well. So I would appreciate your subscription because I want to grow my community, and that's the only way I can do it. By all means, please share your thoughts in the comments because I would love to hear what you have to say. I absolutely love to hear what the people that watch my videos have to say, because the discussion there is really interesting and really important to me. Your time is important to me, and I just want to say thank you for being here.